You haven't been listening forever. When you got saved, you became a minister. You became a priest. You became a firstborn. Especially when you got baptized, you're called to go. So what that means now is that renders you ineffective when you live according to the flesh. But if by the Spirit you will put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. This is the part you know we're pretty privy to, yeah? For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. Until we are led more by the Spirit as a corporate body, individuals within this house and you, whoever can say, yeah, I'm more led by the Spirit. That's cool. But we need a Spirit-led house. A house that chooses to be led by the Spirit will be a house that champions the next revolution of salvation throughout the lands. That there is a full submission to the Holy Spirit's leading in our lives and allowing Him to have preeminence in all our decisions. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear. Again, you got that? Let's not go through the pray for me, bondage. Pray for me, bondage. You may as well be a breakdancer, bro. You know what I mean? Far out. That's the key, is you got to find the groove. You got to find the kingdom groove. Sometimes you're asking too much questions and wanting too much information, but you just won't obey and be obedient to the simple things. To get in the presence and just listen to God throughout the day. Let's be honest, we could be painting, we could be building, we could be driving, we could be doing all sorts of work. Our mind is open to God all the time. We have to choose the groove in which we go in. Don't just fill it with music. Don't just fill it with information. Pause, stop all that. Get in the groove and feel it out. Feel it out. What's going on? What's going on? Certain names and people that pop in your mind, boom, straight on it. Intel from heaven itself. Don't take a position of weakness. Don't yield to your mind that says you're not, you can't, poor me, I don't have it. They look at me funny. No, they don't. That's all a facade in our mind. Walk in, just move. Move knowing that God backs you. If God backs you, that's all you need. Sometimes it's good to not have rely on too many friends, Rely on the company of too many friends. Means that, sometimes they're shaping your identity, kind of nudging you through what they say. Sometimes you've got to isolate yourself in the presence of God. That isolation can be in a loud room, by the way. That isolation can be at your house. But I'm just saying to you, that information, that's how you shape your ministry. So, we receive the spirit of adoption by whom we cry out, Abba, Father. And the Spirit Himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. You know what I'm learning a lot more? Is just trust God. I know that's a terrible statement because it's just not enough info. Just trust God. Just trust God. Panic leaves. Anxiety leaves. Just trust God. Your domestic, we're going to have a talk about this soon when I get our team up. Your domestic problems, your European problems, I'll tell you, you don't have problems. You don't have problems. The problems could be spiritual, and we have to say, yep, okay, we acknowledge that. But material, no. You jumped in the car. You've got a house. Oh, but I might lose my house. Cool. Live with someone. You know what I mean? Oh, but I want my own house. Cool. But you know what? You might not get your own house. That's a bad statement, eh? Just defy me and say, I will, but I'm just saying to you, you know what really matters? Okay, that's a bit too. 1 Peter chapter 2:4, 2:9, but let me read from 2:4. Coming to him as to a living stone, rejected indeed by men, but chosen by God and precious, you also are living stones, are being built up. Everyone say a spiritual house. That's right, a holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices accepted to God through Jesus Christ. Therefore it is also contained in the scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect and precious. And he who believes on him will by no means be put to shame. Therefore, to you who believe, he is precious, but to those who are disobedient, the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone, and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. That's why they don't like Destiny sometimes. That's why your culture and your fams reject you sometimes. It's because Destiny stands attached and on the rock of Christ. And when you stand with Christ, Christ got crucified, remember? And when you stand with Christ, he's rejected. All cultures will reject Christ. All religions ultimately will reject Christ, the spirit-living power of Christ. So if you stand with Christ, don't be surprised if you get rejected, challenged. Don't walk away by a simple statement that someone says or messages you. Oh, my nephew says all these cool things to you. Message back, too bad, auntie, get over it. You know what I mean? What are we doing here? Are we playing marbles Christianity? Oh, you got me. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, domestic Christian problem. Oh, church problem. Oh, they don't like you. You know what I mean? And so, they stumble, being disobedient to the word to which they also were appointed. But you're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. I don't even want the darkness in the past of the old life that my father and my grandfather had to walk through. I don't desire any aspect of the sinful life that they had to go through. Who once were not a people, but are now the people of God, who had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. I'm just going to invite Sam, Glad, and Monts up. We just had a powerful trip up into the Northern Territory. We flew 3.5 hours by plane from Brisbane. We landed and we traveled 3.5 hours on a red, dusty road to our location, which was just over the Northern Territory border into WA, actually. And we had an amazing time. Did you know that part of our call as a church is to partner with, I don't want to say reach, because I think partner with the original owners of this land, the Aboriginal First Nations people of this land. And over the 10 years that I've been here, we've had little glimmers and opportunities and, times where we have been in front of Indigenous, but none like the experience that we all had in the last few days. And one thing I said to my dad was, it's quite difficult to reach Aboriginal people. Where I am, it's pretty, there's not many around, to be honest. And he said, it'll come, son, the door will just open. Don't even pursue it, it'll come. And so I'd like to acknowledge General Sam as well, because he's been working very closely with John. And he's been the station man who, I said to him, hey, you went there for a job, but brother, now you're sent. And that's all about the aligning with the ultimate purpose. But him and Snr, his wife, have a beautiful heart, and John is just the right formula for that people. And bringing it right to the end before I let them fill in the start and right through is that, as it came to the Sunday, because General will talk about other things we've done, and Monty and Glad, but I'll go right to the last part. because I want to give this information. But at the end of the whole trip, we had like a church service which was planned for 5. It started at 7. And it was meant to be in the small sort of church allocated building. It was outside on the dirt. And, you can't plan and script and try and uplift our Christian, domestic, white style of church and put it into their world and say, get down with the program. You got to meet them where they're at and bring the God who created all blood and flesh into their life. And so come the last part, and firstly it was beautiful because I got to anoint with the team, anoint and bless 36 kids, babies and kids. That's worth a round of applause for that. And they're beautiful, man. They're just the purity. And that's what you see in the kids, eh? There's nothing tainted in them about their culture or whatever. They're just beautiful hearts, And so, dark as, blonde as hair. And cool, man. These kids were cool. And then obviously I got a chance to talk. And I think as you look at the photo, like we may have some photos come up, they were relaxed guys. Like they got to a point where, because they don't chill. They're not like you, where you're like, there's about 10 dogs running around. 10 dogs are part of the congregation. But when I got to speak, they were quite chill and relaxed. And even John made reference to that. But come the end, when the call was put out to receive God into your heart, and I'm speaking very simple terms, it's like almost every adult responded, church. It's like every adult responded to the call and came forward. And I'm guessing there would have been like 35 plus adults. And then John at the end goes, did the men come up? I said, yeah, bro. The ladies were at the front, but the men came behind them. And he goes, that's pretty awesome. And so I'll just hand it over to the team. But I just wanted to share that because, church, this is a part of your ministry. Whenever I go out or the team goes out or you go out, we represent this house. And so it was a powerful time. So I'll get firstly General Sam just to share his relationship with John, but then some of the stuff that went down.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, what an amazing time. Look, John and I, we've built a relationship over the last 6 years. When he came into the house here, we connected we had a person in common that we knew. And I loved his heart, it was raw and real. And I thought, man, this is a man I'd love to continue to build a relationship with. Then I met his son. Then we went through a period where they lost their son, but they needed a person there that they could lean on in that. And they reached out to me, John and Snr, and it was a beautiful period of time, and going through a funeral and all that sort of stuff. And then they felt my heart for them. They knew where I stood in terms of the house, our apostle, my pastors, and that connection there just continued to build. To a point, I actually had the privilege of marrying them, and that was a beautiful time. And then a week later, they disappeared on us. Then we find out, we're in the desert. They're out in the outback. And I'm like, yeah, awesome, cool. That's not by coincidence that you're going there. There's a purpose behind it. I don't know it, but God does. And so we kept that line of communication open. And then came a time when he says, hey, these black fellas out here. And don't be offended if I call them black fellas, okay? That's what they want to be called, all right? They hate the word Aboriginals. These black fellas out here, they need man up. Cool, you're the man for it. No, I'm not. Yes, you are, John. How do we do it? Well, you just pull a group together. I'll jump online with you, and we're able to do that, okay? So never underestimate the power of technology and what areas of life you can get into another person's life, okay? Use it if you have to. And then he started saying, hey, you need to get over here. These black fellas want to meet you. And I'm like, yeah, it happened. They passed it. It come a few times. Hey, when are you getting over here? It's coming. This is over 10 months of spending with these guys online. And then I'm getting these guys online going, Sam, when are you coming here? We want to see you. Anyway, our time came. Earlier this year, he goes, okay, can you come now? I said, yes, conference is out of the way. And then it didn't happen for whatever reason. But then he called me, he goes, okay. No, Snr called. I'm booking these tickets. Okay, you're not booking it just for me, but you're booking it for my pastors. Okay? No, okay. Okay, we're getting pastors there as well. Cool. And then it just had to happen. Okay? So our pastor says, yes, I'm coming now. So we started to leave, make preparations for it. And John says, or just as we talk, I says, John, you're the feet to our pastor being there. You're the feet of our apostle being there with our people out there, the black fellas. Now, if you go back a few months now, our pastor preached about the apostolic reach going further than just here. Okay, and I always keep that in mind. When I first moved here, our pastor was talking about reaching the people of this nation, and I always kept that in my heart and in my mind. Okay, where can we cut into getting into these people? Where can we crack codes and getting there? And John was part of that. John and Snr are part of that, cracking the code of getting into our people. Now the time is right that we got there. Why is the time right? Because my pastor was there. Our pastor was there. Okay? And he took our apostle there. The voice of the apostles actually spoke over John and Snr at that time, and also over the congregation that you've seen up here. The apostolic voice was over them. Okay? Now demons are fearing that voice getting into the people, because he knows that when the apostle speaks, the protonic blast comes, and everything that is opposed to God's things and our Christ, the Antichrist spirit that's gotten into their culture, it is now fleeing there because our apostle and our pastor's feet have been there. Okay? So never underestimate the importance of this man being there anywhere that you go. Okay? Now, if you're starting to build relations somewhere, get that man there. Okay, not your feet, but his feet are the most important feet to be in that meeting. Okay, so find a kingdom assignment, find a kingdom adventure that our pastor spoke about this morning, and start to forge in there. Get it going. Okay, then get this man and our pastor and Pastor Kitty there, because that will get the apostolic voice into breaking down the barriers and the walls that have been built up in that area that you're going into. Okay. God bless. But you'll see some photos here. We had some great fun times, okay? But everything was about that Friday. Was it the Friday night? Thursday night. Everything was building to that, because when you experience a whole community come forward to accept Christ, when you see all the children come out of homes, they went around the homes and says, get every child there, get every child to this place. Why? Because this man here has a word for that child, has an anointing for the child. Get every man and woman out of these houses and here, okay? They don't even like the houses. They were just, the enemy was trying to keep them away from hearing the voice, okay? But they got there. In the end, they got there, and they heard the voice. They responded to the call of God that went out, and now their community will be blessed beyond measure because our pastor spoke over them, okay? Some fun times. But I'll leave that up to my wife and Monty to speak about some of the things we got up to.
Awesome, honey. I just want to acknowledge John and Snr. They've been in Warakuna community for 4 years. That's the Ngandara people. That's the lingo, and that's also the iwi Ngandara. So when we first rolled up into community, we were in separate vehicles to John and Snr. All eyes on us. They know every single person in their community, and they know who's new, who's outsiders coming in. So they were kind of eyeing us up. They had their guard up. John jumped out of his truck and said, "This is." Instantly, you saw the walls drop, and that's purely because of the connection and the love that he has for those people. So I want to honour you, John and Snr, for that. I know that you guys are there for purpose and intention, and it was an honour to be there. But like what General Sam said, they've been trying to get us there for a long time. And we've just been kind of nodding, yeah. But they took a step of faith and booked those flights, and we couldn't book out. We couldn't back out. But as remote as they are and as disconnected they may seem, their connection and their openness to God was pure and up there. Like, it's funny, you see the dysfunction around you and then they're playing worship songs and their hands are up and they're surrendering, and Pastor makes the call to, do you want to receive salvation? They all ran up to the front, lined up. So, the purity and the genuineness of their love for and connection for God was beautiful. And the kids were innocent, confident. They came up to me, "Hey, miss, you got a kids?" So I pull out my phone and I'm showing them my sons, and then they're looking at Sam and they're like, "This your boyfriend?"